Hello, everyone. This is Pam Green, and you are in live with Pamela J. Green Solutions. I am really excited to be here this week to talk to you about coaching, and specifically coaching as it relates to your brand, your organization's brand, and how we're responding to civil unrest as well as COVID-19. There's so much going on. And today, I've invited Sana Rasul, who is the chief girlfriend for HR Girlfriends. So I'll invite her to say a few words in a second. And also Dr. Anne-Marie Spatafore, who is an executive coach, facilitator, and consultant. So welcome, ladies, to the show. And I want to
Hi.
start with Sana. Tell us a little bit about yourself and then pass it off to Dr. Spatafore.
Awesome. Well, I am amongst friends and family here today, so I'm super excited. If you haven't heard about HR Girlfriends, I definitely want to let you know that we are an organization that is all things HR and all things women. We support women who are just trying to get into the field all the way up the chain. Our goal is that we develop you personally and professionally, and the only way to do it is to get into community.
Right. Right. Thank you. Dr. Spatafore.
So as Pam mentioned, I'm an executive coach and facilitator and consultant, and I work a lot with senior leaders, executives, and C-suite, really help them reach their goals, help their organizations really think more like effective systems and really bringing people up and really reaching their full potential within their organizations. I have my own business, and I also partner with several other coaching organizations. And in addition, I'm a teacher. So I teach for MBA programs, I teach for PAMS programs, and just really love to share my knowledge.
Thank you. Well, thank you, ladies, for being here. Well, first up, I want to say, both of you are certified. You have degrees beyond, like we say, the alphabet soup. But tell me why coaching was important for you. What drew you to the profession?
Dr. Spatafore, look, you've got more letters, more soup. Let's go. You go first.
More soup.
Well, what drew me to coaching is, I think my life's work is all about building relationships and helping people reach their full potential. And coaching, there's a lot of data that says that a coaching approach is the most effective approach that leaders can take.
Yep.
So in terms of really being able to engage people and achieve results. And I have found this in my own lifestyle, that in my own life and work experience, that taking a more coaching approach to building relationships with others and working alongside them has been very effective. And so that's what really drew me to this profession. And I said to myself, why not do this on a full-time basis? Because this is the work that I love doing. And it really is an opportunity to really have a solid impact on people and really help them. So that's really drew me to this profession. And it's just a wonderful opportunity to meet people and make a difference.
Absolutely. So now what about you?
Well, I am an HR practitioner, so I'm definitely in the trenches and have been actually more so in my past. So when I had the opportunity to sit before Pamela J. Green and learn how to effectively coach, I was really sold on the fact that I could bring those skills internally and externally, because I did feel that sometimes I was bumping into walls. And I didn't know why. And actually having a foundation for coaching allowed me to go, oh, now I get it, but I like options. And so as I grow my career, I knew how important coaching was, and it also resonated with me. So I said, you know what, what's the harm? You get really foundational information. You get to kill it at the work front, and you may be able to take that and do some things entrepreneurially with it. So I go hard or I go home. So that's what I did, and it has been awesome.
Well, and what's so interesting is, when you ladies talk about, the value of it and why you got into it. And, it is and Sanaa, you were just mentioning, it is one of the skill sets that you can actually practice at work, practice at home or privately, and not have a conflict, right? Easily. It's hard to be an HR professional in one organization and go be an HR professional in another organization, try to make money, because you got some potential conflict. But the conflict line is very short. It's very thin. It's narrow. I mean, there isn't a lot of overlap. There's some things you have to pay attention to, but a lot of the folks that come through my coach training program find that, they enjoy it, but they might want to do a little on the private, on the side. And Sanaa, I know that you have the side hustle blueprint for people who want to start their own side hustle. So this plays nicely into, how do I take this skill and then play it into, roll it into a business of my own while I'm also practicing at work?
Well, interestingly enough, sort of in succession, that's how this came about. So you ran your first class. I wanted to get in because I like being a trendsetter, but I was way too busy running HR Girlfriends. And then you ran your second coaching class. I said, oh no, I'm getting in. We're not going to have a third and I'm on the fringes. So I get in. And then I start thinking about the possibilities, and I start listening to others that were in the class with me, including Dr. Spatafore. And we were exploring like, okay, so what do we do with this coaching thing? And how do we get better? And then I was getting messages from people, unbeknownst to others, that were saying, I'm okay with my job, but I want more, right? I really do the thing really well and I want to coach, but I have no idea where to start. And the one thing I learned from learning how to coach is you need to learn how to coach, right?
Yeah.
That was true. And I'll tell anybody in a heartbeat, I repeat it all the time. I was blundering that thing. Woo.
Well, isn't that the thing? That's the thing that people will come to my program and say, I thought I knew how to coach until after day 1 or 2, and they realize I wasn't coaching, was I? No, honey, you weren't coaching. You were doing some good work, but you were not coaching. And that revelation does not take a year for us to get to. And remember, and the thing that you were talking about, Sanaa, and I want to spin this and put it in the direction of Dr. Spatafore, because we found that we were coaching one another to higher levels of intelligence and experience and emotional well-being and psychological safety inside of the class. And Dr. Spatafore, I'd love to hear your experience at those moments, that transformational experience that you had.
Well, it definitely was a transformational experience because I was in a very transformational time in my career when I did take the course with you, Pam, with you, Sanaa. And it was a wonderful safe place. I mean, it's interesting to think about the opportunity to, at the same time, learn a skill set that is an extremely important skill set and lucrative skill set, but also to have the opportunity to really develop yourself and learn more about yourself and continue to advance in your own personal professional development. That is what happened to me in a very supportive environment, but with a basis of the ICF competencies, with a basis of, the real things that you need to learn to be successful, to be respected as a coach. So absolutely.
Yeah. So now what were you going to interject?
I wasn't interjecting anything. I was agreeing with Dr. Spatafore.
I know, right?
It's always beautiful when you get to be amongst people that you had an experience with. You're like, no, that was true. That's right.
Yeah. And what I found too in every class, every cohort, every group, every mastermind is it's different. And they walk away, they come in with these expectations, and then they walk away, this group, this team, this unit, they build these relationships that expand beyond. So many of the folks who come through the program have done some joint initiatives together, out making money together. They're exploring the branch or the broadness and the depth of their brand as a result of coaching. When you learn to coach, and in the process you receive coaching, you learn so much about yourself. And I think that's a powerful aspect of going through any coach program, but especially going through my program.
That's right. There's no sitting on the sidelines.
Yes, right.
No.
Talk to me about talk to me about what you expected versus what you received when you came through the program with me.
Oh, well, I just honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I just dove in, right? Well, one, I trusted you, right? We had a working relationship. I dubbed you my mentor even before you realized that you were. And so I was like, oh, this is cool, because I had seen coaching programs before, but what resonated with me is, it's HR and it's taught by this person who's got the perfect mix of human resources and business. So I was just excited. Honestly, maybe my expectations were that I would come out a lot better in at least how to have better conversations.
Yes.
And that to me was huge because I'm extroverted, I'm a talker, and woo, that first beginning, learning how to listen. I said,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I said, listen, look,
What?
listen, I'm not listening.
So no. So it really taught you then, how to listen more and to leverage the power of what you have to say, because you have a lot to say and you have some experiences that you're sharing, and coaching lends itself to what we say, 20% talking, 80% listening. And so, yeah, that's a struggle that a lot of people have. Dr. Spatafore, what about you?
Well, first of all, just picking up on that point on learning how to listen,
Yeah.
when I'm working with clients and we're talking about how to become a better listener and a more coach-like leader, I always say to them, the only thing that really got me out of my habit of talking more than I'm listening was my coach training program. So I said, maybe you should look into one of those, because it's the only thing that really flipped the switch for me.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to say, I always tell my clients, I recommend, there's a book I love, it's called Compelling People, and it talks about the most persuasive people and charismatic people are a combination of high strength, high warmth. And one of the things that I really appreciate about you, Pam, is that you really embody this concept of high strength, high warmth. And this is how you have structured your course. Your course is, like I said, extremely aligned to the ICF principles, which is very important for people who want to be certified, right?
Yeah.
And so that gives it that strength and that heft, and obviously your HR experience and your business experience. But it's what happens, it's that transformational journey that people who are coming to your course get to experience as well, that kind of gives the warmth to for the program. So, I mean, for me, that's why it was so effective. And the other thing I wanted to echo is the business partnerships that I've been able to make as a result, and the connections and the networking and the opportunities. I mean, it really, this blew up my world in a very positive way.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for that. I'll tell you, at the beginning, people are, they're like, oh, I don't know you. And then we start sharing, we start talking. And at the end, there's hugs and tears and business card exchanges. And wow, went by too fast, because I have different programs, and the longer ones, people are like, oh Lord, this is going to be long. I don't know. And then by the end, they're like, it's over already. Oh my gosh. So it's amazing how that can impact relationships on a longer, broader. And I'm always recommending people from the program, because people do business with people they know, they like, and they trust.
Correct.
And I'm so glad that you all have built those kinds of relationships. But I'm always referring folks that have come through the program to other people. Have you checked out Dr. Spatafore? She's a great executive coach. And have you checked out HR Girlfriends? I know you want to be a member in this other organization, but y'all need to check out HR Girlfriends, and for guy friends as well. How's that for a little plug?
Listen, we do HR boyfriends.
HR boyfriends.
Because my running joke is, who else is going to buy the drinks? Let's go, fellas.
Come on, baby. So I want to pivot real quickly a little bit and talk about how you've been able to apply this coaching experience, the credential and all of that, to this world that we're in right now. We've been quarantined, or we've been it feels isolated, right? We've not been able to really interact with other people because of the coronavirus, and then now because of the civil unrest. And I'm just curious how you've been applying that in this real world experience that you find yourselves in.
Well, for me, one of the biggest things, if you were to say, what was your biggest takeaway from what you learned? And there were so many. I learned to ask powerful questions. And that ties so closely into my ability now to listen and not always have to have the words, right? And so in this world of pandemic and civil unrest, and also representing the community who has been disenfranchised as a Black community, I have been able to ask questions. And so I've been able to challenge some of my anger, my disappointment, my grief and my mourning. I've been able to ask questions of people who are not Black, because I want to understand, how is it you didn't understand that again? Or how is it that you would like for us to, do X, Y, and Z? But even asking powerful questions of the Black community. It's like, what do you want?
Yeah.
What is it you'd like to see?
Yeah.
And I've coined the phrase the ask, right? But in order for me to lead a community like HR Girlfriends, I have to get clear about what I'm helping them represent. I'm the one with the voice and the platform. And so it requires I listen. It requires I ask questions to pull certain things out of them. And that's all coaching.
Yes.
All of it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Dr. Spadafore, thank you, Sanaa.
Yeah, so I love what Sanaa said about asking questions. And I think also, setting the right framework for people is really important. And I mentioned this in a short little essay I wrote recently on LinkedIn, in terms of one of the most important coaching competencies is being able to meet people where they are, right?
Yeah.
And so, time and time again, Pam, when things happen unexpected in life, I go back to things that I learned in your class, right? So when the pandemic happened, and also in the recent weeks where we've had a lot of unrest and change and transformation in our own society, and our ability to look really, we're starting to look at ourselves, I think, a little bit more, warts and all, right? I think the concept of meeting people where they are is very important. It's setting the framework for understanding that, for example, with the pandemic, everybody's going through this differently. There's some people who are more challenged than others, right? So being able to understand what is it that they're dealing with, what is it that they need now, how have their needs changed, and not pushing our agenda, but really meeting the coachee's agenda, right?
Yeah.
And same thing with regard to, what's happened in the last couple of weeks, and, the upheaval that we've had as a society, right? So again, being able to stop judging, which, like Brene Brown talks about how we love to judge, right? To stop judging, and instead, as Sanaa said, take the time to listen, to ask powerful questions. I think it has been very, very important for my own mental health and resiliency in terms of this very difficult time, because coaches have had to change the way we work too, right? So, we're just like everybody else, and we don't always do everything by phone. A lot of us do a lot of facilitation in person, a lot of in-person meetings, a lot of networking, and being able to see our clients in person is a big part of our practices. So we've also had to be resilient for ourselves. And I've definitely drawn upon, again, a lot of the competencies of coaching, and sort of being able to keep myself centered and grounded, and in service of other people during a time of need. I have found a coach has given me a really powerful identity in this time of crisis, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that identity. It gives me something to hold on to, some values to kind of really structure my world in the middle of change and transformation.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Sanaa.
Can I say something? So there was something you said in the beginning, Pam, of our conversation, and it was about how coaching actually has an impact on your life, your personal life, right? My sister and I are only 1 year apart, and so you can imagine that with sisters, and we are close as long as we're not in the same zip code. And so, listen, we are close, just can't live in the same zip. And so the thing is that I have learned to be a better big sister with my coaching skills. And this is the irony. Almost every career I've done, she's dibbled. It's really interesting. Really? And so now she is learning to coach. But before then, I think I wore her down. She would say, "Don't coach me. Stop asking me questions." I'm like, but you don't want me to tell you what to do. I want to explore. And sometimes I've gotten so good at asking powerful questions that I'm asking them for a level of clarity so I know how to participate in the conversation. It's not to coach you. It's that I need to hear something so I'm better positioned to help you help me, vice versa. And it has helped our sister relationship. But she also drives her crazy. She's like, "Stop coaching me. Stop asking questions." I'm like, "But you also told me not to give you advice." I'm confused.
Exactly. I know.
But that's powerful.
Yeah. And what's so interesting is, I have to be in the same zip code with my husband you both well know, also went through the program.
Yes.
And he too has said to me, don't coach me. Then he went through the program. And now we find that we are opening the questions and really practicing coaching in this time, because the civil unrest started in the house before it started on the streets. I just want y'all to know that. But,
Send them out. Listen, we know it's your fault. We love Ray.
right. See,
Yeah.
I don't think he's chiming in. He better not chime in. But I'm telling you, it is amazing how people who are trained coaches have been able to leverage this experience, especially at the height of the emotional outpour from all sides, right? Um, and dealing with CEOs, executives, board members, and their teams, they want a safe space to be able to express what they're feeling, what they're thinking, without judgment. And if you haven't been trained, then you might hear some of the things that come out of their mouths and fall on the floor convulsing. What they haven't been given that safe space, except for perhaps in their circles. Well, now they're having to shift and think differently about their work, their audience, their community, their coworkers, their peers, their staff, all of those things, and they're having to show up differently, which requires a great deal of not just training but coaching, because it's deeper, and it gets to deeper kinds of things for more sustainable change. But first they have to work with individuals like us who can help them create that safe space, be yourself. And now let's talk about what are the changes that need to be made so that you can be more authentic, increase credibility, have a longer career, a longer shelf life for your career, be taken seriously, have your voice heard by all communities and not just one community. So it is it's been proven to be extremely valuable for me, working with that senior leadership group. So I know that we've got represented here, HR girlfriends, and Sanaa, you are the HR boots on the ground woman, all things HR. This is the person that you are going to go to. As the person that I go to, and I'm like, hey, what's happening? I know she's doing some phenomenal things in that space. And then Dr. Spatafore, I know you're doing so much work with leaders and executives and boards. What tips do you have for the folks that are out there as they are navigating this this new world that we're in?
Well, I'll start by just saying engaging empathy. I just did a session for a group of VPs a week ago, and it was all about, managing virtually, best practices. And it really just came down to slowing down a little bit and engaging empathy, right? So again, coming back to sort of core coaching, attributes and talents and skill sets, right? So being able to engage empathy, understand what people are going through, have the ability to imagine what they're going through, and helping you meet their needs, right? Which is very important as a leader and as a manager. So I would say that is also very important just in terms of your own interpersonal effectiveness, right? So being able to demonstrate empathy with other people. We've all had to slow things down. Some things have been shut down, right? And we're all being forced to sort of look at our lives, look at our relationships, whether it's work relationships, family relationships, and really think about what is our role in this interaction. We can't run away from thinking about ourselves right now, what we bring to the table, and also thinking about what is it that we want in our relationships with other people, and how can we move more closely to what we want. It's kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity to do that, and I hope some people are taking advantage of it right now, because I think when we get through this, which will be wonderful, don't get me wrong, but there will be some things that we go back to doing, and this is a little bit of a pause. I think to have people reevaluate, ask yourself, are you living your life with your values? Are you living your life for other people? Are you really thinking about what is it about you what do you care about, and how can you live more aligned with what you care about? and how you want to take advantage of your time on this planet, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially for so many who have been forcibly displaced
Yeah.
Yes.
from their organizations. Now it's time to not, you can mourn for a season,
Mhm.
but the new day, spring is around the corner. It is here in our lives, and
Yeah.
we can do something different, something better, something unique for our brand. So yeah, really, really great insight, great tip. Thank you. Sanaa, what do you think?
Yeah.
So as you were talking, Dr. Spadafori, I was thinking to myself, like, so yeah, I love that those who are leading the conversations with executives who are reaching out like you and Pam and saying, here's what you need to do. Here's how you have to lead, right? Here are the tools. What I'm doing in the HR Girlfriends community is saying, I love that you're telling leaders that, but they need accountability partners, whether they agree to it or not. And so what I'm really showing the women in HR and the men and anyone else who's listening is how to be an accountability partner. One, and so it starts with standing in your own personal truth. And that understanding that in this civil unrest around race, we have to get very clear and very honest. And I've formed a new relationship with my integrity around that, understanding that I'm no longer interested in being complicit. And so I'm bringing that to the women of HR, saying we have a really tight rope we walk. We are the voice of the employees, and yet we're the line at the gate for the organization. And yet we're hurting and we have this complicated role. But I'm going to teach you to stand in your truth. And you teach people how to treat you. So if your leader is getting advice about empathy, but then you're still showing up the same way, he or she doesn't see why they need to be different.
Right.
He or she does not see it. They're human. And so if they're being told to show up different and they're taking advice and you're showing up different because we want accountability and need accountability, what kind of amazing results could we get? Really quantifiable results in terms of the shift in our organization's culture, the shift in our own development as professionals. And I've just been advocating for more dialogue. And honestly, my coaching background and skills so I use coaching very differently. I lead this community and I talk a lot. So I'm consistently trying to convey information to them. But before I do that, I have to ask the right questions so that I'm conveying the right information or bringing the right subject matter expert to the table, because I will not pretend to know it all. That it's not how any of this works.
It's not.
So, for me, it's just so critical to be in that space of coaching. So I am coaching the women of HR around what I call the ask. And that is our initiative for accountability for our leadership. So we're going to get clear about what we're asking. And there's subsets to this, right? It's the HR professionals. What are we asking? Then it's Black women in HR. And then it's Black men in HR. And then it's your Black employees. And then it's your white employees. Everybody has an ask, right? Because the one thing I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow with this or the next week. We can never go back.
That's right. And I'm going to tell you, the ask is so incredibly important. And when you go through coach training, the one thing that happens at transformational moment is when you realize I can get everything I need and help them get everything that they need just by asking the powerful questions. But framing the conversation and asking that question has been one of the most challenging things, because we want to tell everybody what we know and what we think and how we would resolve and solve a challenge, when really the answer is from within. Our job as coaches is to pull it out and make it readily apparent to them. And I think HR professionals are especially perfectly positioned to be coaches in their organizations, especially to their leadership in their CEOs in their organizations and their peers and all of that stuff. But every HR team needs to have a couple of coaches on their team. And we're certainly going to continue to push that. I'm a true, as an former HR, or what do we say, recovered HR. Lord have mercy. Woo! I'm gonna tell you now.
We need an HRA. Human Resources Anonymous.
HR and teachers are not paid enough. This is what we are learning. We take a whole boatload of crap from leaders who don't want to do the right thing. and or who don't want to always show up. And then there are that majority who are doing the right thing, who help support the work that HR professionals are doing. So I applaud every HR person out there, every person that ever wanted to be in HR, all of us who have passed through the role of human resources, applaud you for the work that you continue to do. Stay strong, my sisters and my brothers, because I know you're going through a whole lot right now.
Well, I want to piggyback on that, because you and Dr. Spadafori are working with executives and you're killing it, and you're teaching them how to see this now normal. I've told it's not the new normal, it's the now normal.
Yeah.
And how to see it, how to move effectively, be agile. But the thing is that I'm urging all organizations to rethink your money. The way people, whether you agree or not, and this is not about what I think, because I haven't had time to think about what I think about defunding police, but the conversation is deeper. It's where do we put our money so we can fix this?
Right.
So organizations have to get clear that if your leadership and your middle management, and even if your employees have to beg, borrow, and pardon with you to get the resources, to get the coaching, to get the development they need, so that this conversation will not stop. This is not a one and done. And again, we're going to hold you accountable. So I went through this is what we're asking sort of preliminary list. And then I also went in and said, don't worry, we're going to hold you accountable, like the scary movie, right? Life. But I want organizations to rethink their budgets.
They have to.
You have to rethink your budgets. And this is not about anything except you are what you are because of your people.
That's right.
You can have the most amazing idea and you could be thinking it up in your garage, but there is no way any organization that we use, whether it's the Apple phone we're using or whatever we're using, that could have been or have achieved the heights without the people.
Right.
That's right.
And so here's what I will add to that is, and this is what I tell leaders all the time, you're only as good as the individual in your organization or the individuals at the level of which they've learned something. So if the last time you sent or paid for or supported someone to go out and get training was when you hired them 4 years ago and they came fresh out of school with that degree, or that leader who just went to a boot camp or a conference 3 years ago, or maybe they never went, you're only as good as that last information, because information is constantly being produced. New knowledge is available. So if you're not constantly developing and investing in your talent, you're only as good as that last piece of training or experience. And if you're not allowing them to use it in the organization, there's no accountability. So they're going to lose it. And it's like a foreign language. You learn it, but if you don't use it, you lose it. You're going to stay in that dominant language, which could be outdated in the organization's world. So you become, you're no longer a going concern. You're just history. And we know the history books are filled with organizations that couldn't keep up, had the greatest potential, but couldn't keep up with the changing needs of the environment, the employees, the constituents, the customers, the community. Those are the organizations that are going to survive. But only if you,
organizations that are agile, that are learning organizations, right? And to be a learning organization, you have to prioritize learning, and your priorities, what you spend money on, and your priorities, right?
That's it.
And I couldn't think of a better way to help people through these twin crises than coaching. I mean, coaching, people talk about spending money on training, and I've seen a lot of debates on LinkedIn about the efficacy of training and, all the, and, it's very debatable when it comes to training on some areas. If we're not asking people to really get personal with us and to create that safe space with them so we can talk about really what's going on with their head. I was on a video call with a client yesterday who is, he's up for a senior promotion within, a name brand organization. And he wanted to talk about what's happening in the world right now when it comes to, his interview. And I just said to him, but he was having such a hard time. And I said, tell me, what is it that you want to say about this, right? What is it that you want to say, right? So if this gentleman, it's taken me months to get to this point where he trusts me And usually, you know, that's not a problem for people to trust me, but he's a very introverted guy.
Yeah.
And so we are in this moment where he trusts me to be able to share with me what he really thinks about this topic. I'm telling you, if he was in a group of 20 people, it would not have happened. Right. So
Right.
this is what coaching creates the space
Sure does.
for people to, and as Sanaa said, to really allow themselves to be held accountable, to not just put out the statement, to not just talk, but allow themselves to be held accountable. Coaching provides that safe space for people and really provides that opportunity for them to grow. And then they will have this cascade impact, positive impact on the rest of their organizations, right?
Yeah.
So 100%, your priorities are what you spend money on. There's no better time to spend money on coaching and learning yourself how to coach so you can support other people during this time.
Well, thank you. And as we begin to wrap up, ladies, thank you so much for being with me. Sanaa, what final words would you have to say?
Oh, well, Dr. Spadafore was at my event, Real Talk, No Filter, supporting Black women in HR.
Yeah.
And one of the parting words that I had for the women was, you need two things. You need a therapist and you need a coach. I just need us to listen, this is not even about race.
That's right.
This is like, if you want to have the quality, you only get to do this one time.
That's right.
Even if you believe in reincarnation, you will not know if it's real until you're gone. And so my biggest thing is ensuring that you are committed to your personal and professional development, and that you're clear that they do not operate in silos, and that you need a team that you assimilate that works for you to further yourself as a person. And that when you're running into challenges and if they're consistent, that means that you're the common denominator and there's a theme. And if you can't get the level of support from your mom or your sisters, they love you, but they're too close to it.
That's right.
You need outside assistance. And that's what coaching has done for me, because I always say, look, I always go, if my therapist don't have a therapist, I don't want you. If my coach don't have a coach, I don't want you. And so, you know, we're going to be looking at a new way of even vetting our own personal team. Like, ain't no way. So right. I want to encourage people to really focus on who they are on and off the clock.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's the question of the day. You know, if you are watching this broadcast, the real question that we have for you is, who's coaching you? Who's helping you? Who's helping you to dig deeper, to find the new you, the refreshed you, the pivoted, transformational you that has to emerge on the other side of these experiences? I am working to accelerate leaders, plain and simple. And I am so pleased to have these wonderful leaders on with me today. And I want to, again, thank Sanaa Rasul, Chief Girlfriend for HR Girlfriends, and Sparks' very own Dr. Anne-Marie Spadafore, who is a PhD and certified coach, just like Ms. Rasul and myself. And we are really trying to be at the forefront of supporting what you need at all levels in organizations. So please check us out. I'm going to be rolling out a new coaching program. One, we're going to do coaching in 6 questions. So I'm going to do a self-paced program for those who are not interested in getting a credential. And then we're also going to open up our virtual program live again this fall. So go to PamelaJGreen.com to learn more. We're also rolling out some self-paced programs for those who want to continue learning and can't get out of the house or don't want to get out of the house. But we want to be there for you. Please check us out. I'm going to ask my ladies here to give us the contact for which you want people to reach out to you, and we will end the broadcast on that. So now we'll start with you.
Awesome. Well, you can learn more about HR Girlfriends at hrgirlfriends.com. We have an expansive events page. We are always looking for partners and sponsors who believe in our mission of developing women professionally and personally in the HR space. And I look forward to connecting with you.
Thank you.
And, I recommend HR Girlfriends and boost my friend here. And I would just say that The best way to reach out to me is on LinkedIn. I'm quite active on LinkedIn, so just look me up, Anne Marie Spatafore, and I'm the only one that I'm aware of on there. And I like to, it's a wonderful way to connect with you, so I urge you to connect with me, send me a message, and I'll be happy to reach out and connect with you as well. So I think that's the best way to reach out to me.
Absolutely. And don't forget LinkedIn, people. We
Yes.
are a community in LinkedIn, and we link up and we do a lot of great things. So again, ladies, thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate your time, and we will see you on the other side. Continue to do great things.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.